What's up everyone? So I just got back from a trip. I literally have my bag just here unpacked. With that said, today is going to be electronics and hopefully power up, and then it's going to be a base value review. So you're just going to review how the machine is as it is, and then we'll head off and do some mods and stuff like that. So make sure you drop a comment down below what you want me to test first, and I'll be able to take that data or take that in before starting to film the next episode. So again, massive thanks for following this series, and hopefully you've built your machine together with me. And I'll see you guys in just a few seconds, starting with the electronics. Alright, so this step is fairly simple. We need these materials, which is a cable connector and the PTFE tube. So there's not that much we can say about that. All we really have to do is to connect the material tube from the printing head, which is over here. So we push that in, and then we push the other end here to the feeder motor. And that's actually it for that step. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna do one more thing. So we just put the cable in here and then all the way back to the motor. So again, this is gonna be my front side, which is why I did it in this way. Next up, it's about time that we more or less arrange these cables, which we can do with the power thingy. So this is gonna take a few seconds, and I'm actually going to more or less remove my marking. All I need is the marking on the lower side. So I'm just gonna stitch all of these wires up and lead them through back here. You don't need to lead them through the top. It's okay to just lead them back here. So I'm gonna do that, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, there we have all the cables connected. So what I just did here as well is that I took a zip tie to relieve some of the strain on the cables. Now on to the next step. Alright, so this is actually one of the last steps. It's pretty simple. We should have this panel here. So you just take in the LCD panel. There's actually no screws to attach here, except for the knob here. So you want to put the knob back on. Should be able to click that and click on those. Put in this panel as well. Alright, so we have some spacers here that we will screw in later, I suppose. But there's actually no wires told to have for that. Alright. We're just gonna go ahead and do this. There we go. SD card is gonna be on that side. So we want the cables to go through in between the frames, and then we more or less just slide this on and try to center it, of course, because that's much nicer to have it in center. Something like that. And then you take the M4 nuts, and all you should really need to do is to slide those in, slide them over the edges here, and then you just tighten it up. So let's do that. Oh yeah, and I totally forgot that you are supposed to fix the housing here with M3x8 screws. So we're just gonna go ahead and do that. So put that on all four sides and just screw them in. Make sure that they go all the way in. And there we have it. It's all tightened in, all the four screws here and the M4 on top. So we have a clicking sound here. Should be able to hear that. And then we have the knob here. Should be able to do that as well. All right, I think we're on to step number 16 or 17, which is wiring, I suppose. All right, so for this step, I actually turned the machine and removed the slot here for the controller board, which we are going to use. And we're also going to attach it with some M4 here. Now I found that we can't just plug it in here. There's an clearance issue. So what I went ahead and did was to actually remove the whole top. So this acrylic top here, remove it with 4 screws. Now I want to keep it on because I think it's good protection on wires and everything when it's in the machine. But the goal here is to remove that plate, keep those 4 screws. We'll actually only be able to attach it on these 2 because all of this here will be hidden inside the groove here. So the goal now is that even though we still have the screws down here on the below, we should be able to push this plate through. At least it worked last time I tried. There we go. So now the plate is back. I want to use this opportunity to attach it on the rods, which isn't really that easy. I'm gonna try to do it, just at least with one side. I'm taking a screw in, trying to align the M4 on top. Then I don't really know how I should be able to tighten this. I think that they should have told us to do this in a previous step. And I don't really feel like disassembling the lower frame, but that actually worked. Tightening it by hand, and this is not the correct way to do it. But I'm gonna try to tighten this screw with a pliers. So I'm gonna do this on one side and then back to the other side. And then we should be able to just slide on this acrylic cover again. And we can use it to screw these two screws back in on the acrylic cover. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that before we put on the end plate again. All right, so for this step, we now have the board in place, and the connectors are, as you can see, in place here. I've organized the wires a little bit each, so each motor gets its own direction, or sorry, its own management. Now, what you want to do is that from this direction, when you have the control ball forward, this axle will be Z, Y, and X. So X, Y, Z. That means that when we plug everything in, there are clear labels on this board, which motor is which. Now, one of the first thing I noticed was that most of these cables from the end stops are without plugs. So we're going to use these plugs to just attach in here. Now, we do have a reference from the, I'm not sure that this actually matters, but we have a reference from the extruder cable. So I'm actually, the auto leveling sensor here. So I'm actually gonna wire them equally, which means that they're going in this direction. Shouldn't matter that much, but hey, you wanna be safe, don't you? You wanna be safe, I was gonna say sure. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. So I'm just plugging those in, and I will repeat that on all of them. Okay, so there we have it. Now we can start plugging everything in. So this is the Z motor. So we have the motor cable going into Z, which is this one according to my board. I'll be a little bit careful when you plug everything in here, just so you don't break the board. It's not supported here in the middle. And the end stop goes to, let's see, X stop, Y stop, Z stop. They're actually color marked here, which is nice. So green, green. And then we have the Y motor, which is this one. And Y goes to blue in this case. Blue and to blue. Probably gonna do some cable management here. And then the last motor, which is X. This connector is a little bit tight. And then the end stop. There we go. Then of course we have the extruder motor going all the way from the side. I cable management here under the beams. So let's go to the E motor, which is black. And then we can also, before we start with the main cable here from the hot end, I actually want to manage these cables a little bit, but we can plug in the LCD panel. So I think these cables are identical, which is a little bit troublesome. So let's just check which is which. All right, so in my case, it was kind of simple. The wires just go like this. So the right one was extension 2 and the left one was extension 1, looking from this direction. Now, just make sure that you double check that the connectors are the same, and you could have catastrophic issues if you don't. All right, so with that said, we're actually done with those wires for now. We still need to plug in some power cables and also arrange with the heated bed. But before we do that, we can work with the extruder end of things. Now we do get quite a few wires here, but the simple ones are that the black goes to the auto leveling, so it looks like the other end stops. Then we have the temperature meter, the thermocouple, which is the white one, thermal H, at least it does in my case, goes down there. And then we have two fans. Now I don't remember which one was which, but I think that the fan left, fan right. I think we just have to plug them in and then we can change them if there's an issue. So, and that only leaves the heater. Now the heater is a little bit special. It has these two cables, so we need to actually solder on those just to make sure that we have a good contact surface. Then they are going into the heater here, and then we have a heater bed cable as well that we'll check out later. So we need to strip these and pre-solder them. Now, to be completely honest, there's no one in the manual saying that we need to do solder anything or pre-solder, but I'm actually gonna do it just for safety. I think it's a good idea to do. I'm not the best at this, but I'm gonna go ahead and start off by stripping the wires a little bit. Twist them up, like so, and then the other one. This should be enough that we can apply some soldering, or what's it called, tin on this one. So I'm going to try to do this not left-handed, so apologize me for a second while I do this. Alright, we can now plug in these cables here. And since these are to the heater and act as a transistor, if that's what it's called, I think so. We don't have to think about polarity, but we do have to think about making them into the right place. We go into the heater section here. Actually help them in a little bit. It is in a little bit difficult angle. Here we go, once in. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. Second one, beautiful. Also in. There we go. 2 cables are in. Sitting really well. And that are all the cables for now. So let's move on to the build plate. Now what we could do here is to just make sure that all of the cables going up to the extruder are tightened up, because I believe that they might get some tension in here. So there is actually a small slot that we can help out with that. I'm going to show you here. So we could use that hole here to just assist with a cable tie. Yeah, something like that. All right, now for the final and most fun step. So we're going to need, there's quite a lot of holes here. So these ones are actually to mount in the grooves here, and they will then keep the build plate in place. So we're going to have to take the longer M3 screws. We're gonna take them through the plastic thingy and all the way through. And then we're taking one of these bracket thingies, whatever they are. I'm going to leave a little bit space because we're going to assemble it with these T thingies as well. And you also want to be able to mount the actual glass plate as well. So you want to do like this and repeat for the other ones. Now on these ones we can use the shorter screw. So we're just going to use that. One of the black spacers as well. And a T-slot. That's it. I'm gonna repeat this on all others as well, and then we'll go from there. All right, next up we are taking the cables here with the white connector. So you just want to push these in. These are the ones that already pre-soldered to the build plate. Don't mistake them for the other ones that we will be using shortly. Good, I can see that they are connected down there. Awesome. All right, next step is a little bit more tricky. We need a power plug cable, so the one that goes to the end. And this one here, the red and black cable. Just twisting these, knowing that they are all scaled. So we're gonna start off with, the wall power cable. So you want to go into L and N. Now, so open up this cover. Make sure that you plug them all the way in and that there are no exposed wires. So I'm gonna do that, and then just screw down tightly here, making sure you have a good connection. I will probably end up changing this for some sort of mod later on, but I want them to be super tight. That's good. I will probably also just take a tie here and just relieve the connectors of any tension. So I will use zip ties to plug this in later. Also, you want to plug in the empty cable. So this one is totally free hanging or free. So you want to make sure that you plug in the red to the plus. I'm going to start off with that. The same goes here, no exposed wires. So this goes into the V plus and the black one goes into V minus. Now it's important that you make sure that you get the cables right, because in the next step with the connector we will reference the red to the plus and black to the minus. Next up, we are plugging in this cable that we just connected to the power supply to this connector. Now, you want to make sure that you unscrew the screws and make sure that you check which direction the plug is going in. So in my case, and it should be in yours as well, minus will be on the right side. So I am going to just screw that connector in first so we don't mistake. Also make sure that you don't have any wires exposed. And before plugging anything in, I mean the power, you want to just make sure that you plugged it in correctly. So double check your motherboard, otherwise you're gonna have a fried motherboard, and that ain't fun. Those are secured. And if I would be plugging this in, it would be in that direction, and it all seems to go to the correct, because I have minus on the right side and plus on the left. Excellent, that step is now done. Alright, so next up I will be stripping the wires coming from the heated bed. This is also just for plugging in into the, what's it called? Yeah, the motherboard, that's what it's called. Wow, it's getting late here. And there's no positive or negative here, so there's no need to mark the wires in any particular order. We're now plugging in the white wires from the build plate on these connectors here, which are called heat bed. This requires placing your build plates accessible. So I'm probably gonna just stick it over there for now. Get down here with the cables. Plug those in. You see what I'm doing, so I'm gonna just plug those in and show you in a second. Alright, the cables are plugged in. Now it's just the white connector here. So we're gonna plug that into heater bed, the last open connector actually. So that should be a good sign. Now I am going to keep this plate just hovering while we do our tests, because I am not sure if I plugged in the fans correctly. I forgot to check which order I was supposed to do that in. So in case I need to switch anything here, I just want to have it all accessible. But in theory, all we do now is that we put down the build plates. We slide down all the slots here. Let's see, I think this is the best orientation. All the T-slots down, and we have a finished printer. Check that out. That's pretty awesome. We need to do something about these wires though, but other than that, I think we're ready to plug it in. So let's just check out the power supply, because that is the last thing that we need to do. So we'll take it. We will plug in the connector. There we go. But of course, before we plug anything in, we're just gonna carefully put this here. Now, I know it's not 100% secured just yet, and it's not gonna be for a few minutes as well, but I just wanna put the build plate here so we can kind of see how everything's going to end up looking like. There we go. Okay, I suppose it's time. It's time to try this. See what happens. Let's see, all the cables are on. Let's just double check here. Nothing plugged in. We got power. Okay, cool. We are plugging power supply in. We've checked everything. Minus is going to minus. Everything should be plugged in. I'm not gonna wrap that just yet. I have my fire extinguisher. Let's do this. Something's happening. Buffer. Oi. Let's see, temperatures. Maybe it's all okay. Not completely sure. Extruder says it has a temperature. That is good. All right, so we probably need to update firmware, but let's see what we got here. Ooh, we can move stuff. It's alive. Let's see. All right. Are we going to move anything? Let's see, X position. Hey, it's moving. Let's see, Y position. It's moving. Z. Yep, it's moving. And let's see if we can move the extruder. not really working as planned. Maybe that has to be something with the temperatures. All right, I'm not gonna home everything just yet. I just wanna make sure that things move that they should. Let's see if I can put the fan speed on. Yeah, and that is the wrong fan. All right, now we know that. Okay, so we need to change the position of the fans. We can do that. Anyways, that's about it. I'm gonna stop the printer now and make sure that we get the firmware working. Awesome, it's working! Woohoo! Alright, so as you can probably hear and see, I'm running another printer now. It's another project. I'll hopefully be able to show you that, but it's a little bit secret. But the Delta is here, it's running. I've started up and you will see a montage in a few seconds where we're pushing some filament through it. But from this moment, the actual review starts. So as we said, we're gonna do a review where we just do the basics. So we're doing a stock machine more or less, and then we'll add on some features and some mods and stuff like that. Maybe even some LED lights. I have some plans for that. But anyways, I really enjoy making this build series. I know it's a little bit slow, but I really enjoy it, and hopefully you did too. If you did, make sure you leave a like, and also, since I'm starting the review now, you can follow me on social media, on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and I will show you like updates during the review. But otherwise, just stay subscribed, and there's gonna be a review coming maybe in a few weeks to this channel, because you know, you gotta push some filament through it. So again, thank you very much, and thank you to all the Patreons for the awesome support and all the live donators. So with that said, I'm gonna show you some clips and check out the Patreons and let me know what you want me to do with it. So I see you guys in the next video. Bye.